which derived as a result of me working in training schools for over 5 years and realizing that so many of our young people were dying, which is why my target audience is African American males and Latino males.
Voice TV.
So what's your name?
Kelly Little.
Okay, where you from, Kelly?
Born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. However, I've been in North Carolina for a very long time after several stints with the military. So the question of what is it that I do in the community can't be answered with one response. I'm a multifaceted person who's focused on changing outcomes for black and brown boys in a city where economic mobility has not been paramount for that population. Now, the dynamics of Charlotte is changing, and we have a very diverse community. I support the growth of everyone, but I'm focused on equity in our community. And so that equity starts with having conversations with aligning people with following their purpose and their passion, which is a space where opportunity and preparation translates into execution. My target audience, however, it's not my total audience, but my target audience is black and brown boys. So African American and Latino population for my nonprofit, as well as those same adults. Because in our community, young people are inspired and transformed by the role models who are in young people's lives. So what I'm saying is that in many instances, what we find out is that the young people who are not excelling and doing well is because there's not a positive male influence who has taken the time to sit down and help them map out their career so that their trajectory is not baseline on a foundational level, but more so is sitting for the stars. Because a lot of times we say if we shoot for the stars, then we'll fall in the clouds somewhere. My philosophy is the sky and the stars should be our benchmark so that we send our kids into the universe among the stars and the galaxies, because that's the greatness that they allow us to have. Because children are our greatest resources. And when young people grow up and are not provided and afforded the same opportunities in terms of someone investing in them, then they become adults who are angry, upset, and don't know how to target that anger and frustration so that it's resilience and it drives them to success. That's why I began with the adults. And also, as a result of that, I understand that I had to start very early, making sure that we position our young people to have a plethora of resources to ensure that they're able to stand and be great and realize their potential, which is greatness. So 2 things. I'll start first and foremost. I have a for-profit that's called the LeGrand Little Group. And the motto of my for-profit is embrace your truth. How many times have people compared themselves to someone else when they didn't get a job? Or when they're playing a sport, they're comparing themselves to somebody else. But my today can't be compared to somebody else's today, because they could have been in the lab perfecting their craft and developing their skill set so that they can be successful in the future. I may have started 3 years later than that. So understanding that our journey is based on our experiences and those who we have been exposed to. With that in mind, I developed a program called the Urban Institute for Strengthening Families, which is a nonprofit 501c3, which derived as a result of me working in training schools for over 5 years and realizing that so many of our young people were dying, which is why my target audience is African American males and Latino males, because that made the majority of the kids who I was dealing with. And as I continue to grow and evolve in my job and my occupation, I also found out in different other jobs that they were dealing with the same problems. Thus, it was birthed. A rites of passage that's focused on going back to recognizing the elders in our community, understanding that the community is the benchmark of how we elevate our young people when we leverage all those geniuses that exist there. In addition to that, we must realize and focus on the fact that children have to be exposed to different experiences. I have to take them outside of their element so that they can be comfortable with those things that they're uncomfortable with. And when we do that and we expose them to greatness like engineering, when we expose them to IT, when we expose them to Ballantyne and Mint Hill and all these other places that exist in our immediate area, with Charlotte being a place that scored 50th out of 50 of major metropolitan areas across the country, that's not the Charlotte that I know. And I know that through me and through collaboration and creating synergy with other nonprofits and other leaders around this community and teaching them what activism is about and using their intelligence so that they can move on to greatness, that's the only responsibility that I have. And so it's our challenges in life that allow us to move through stages from a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's called transformation. So with all this that I'm talking about and the motivational speaking that I do can't really be classified as motivational, because motivational speaking and inspirational speaking tells me that it's temporary. And my priority and my objective is to be transformational and make it sustainable. The only way we do that is if we teach our young people and then we invest in our young people with all the resources that we may have not had. So had it not been for how I grew up in Philadelphia, which was the greatest thing that ever happened to me in this life, because it taught me that I can do anything that's possible. So it's the true Rocky story. And anybody from where I grew up at can tell you, like, we're ready for the struggle. We're ready for the fight. In Charlotte, North Carolina, I know and understand with all the work that we do in this community that we're ready for the fight. So if you align, www.urbaninstituteforstrengtheningfamilies.com and www.embraceyourtruth.org. Want to see you there. Peace, blessings. The Opportunity Transformation Accelerator doing work in the community. Queen City, stand up.